Okay, so I started a conversation today about how the world works, and people don't really how they don't comprehend that it's way worse than what they really think, and they are more of a slave and less free than what they really think they are. And when you start saying that, people say, "Oh, I don't want to listen because it sounds crazy," and hopefully, maybe this is like a wake up call for a lot of people. And some people are just going to ignore it. They don't want to accept the fact that they are the little man. And they are, no matter how like successful you are, if you're not a billionaire, you're not going to mean anything. In a hierarchy of importance, so to say, it's all false importance. It's just, but like, if you want to control stuff, you're going to have a lot of money. And I'm going to break a lot of this stuff down. We were talking about Plato uh, the other day on the last video. It might have been yesterday, but I'm here to talk about what he was talking about, the governments, and then we're just going to start how the governments and how either his five regimes or five factions. Um, let's see here, like I highlighted a couple things. So a faction or a regime. Well, I'm going to say, let's give a definition of a faction, because some definitions will actually say regime, but they're going to be pretty much the same thing. They're pretty much synonymous with one another. Okay, so a faction is, the first definition is a group of persons forming a cohesive, usually contentious minority within a larger group. Okay, that's the first definition. The other definition is internal dissension, conflict. Oh, sorry, conflict within the organizations or nation. And this is a quote. And whereas our own beloved country is now afflicted with faction and civil war, that was President Lincoln. And then so it's like a group of people, a faction or a group, a specific group of people. Now, like if you were to start a rebellion, I'm not saying you should, because it might go very bad. You got to make sure you can take on government that's one of the richest in the world and has the best technology. So I wouldn't advise that. You better have your fucking cards straight. You better be getting ready to fucking lose a lot of people. But okay, so if you started a rebellion group, like if the Michigan militia decided to say, "Hey, let's just start a civil war. We're gonna say screw you. We're gonna fight the government," and the Michigan militia, which is a group, decided to rise against. That is a faction. That is a group of people. That is their own faction. They believe in their own government, and they run their own. So, but within a government system, it's a type of faction or a regime. And Plato had five regimes or factions. And that was aristocracy, timocracy, oligarchy, democracy, which you guys are very familiar, and tyranny. And everyone knows what a tyrant is. It's somebody who just has complete and total rule, and they're above the law. They're like a dictator, like a complete dictatorship. There is no law except for him. Kind of like a king. They look at themselves as a king, but they're not very fair to their people. That's how I like to explain it. It's the difference between a tyrant and a king or a queen or somebody of like royalty is the people of royalty actually somewhat try to keep their people like happy, and they try to make sure they're not like they're content and they can thrive, like England, like people like to shit on the the British Empire, the Queen, all of them, and it's like they're really not that bad. I mean, it sucks that everybody there's only we're gonna get into this, and it's actually gonna make you not like them as much, and other people in this world as much, but for what they do, they actually do treat their people like, but it's also a bunch of bullshit. But their people are more of a slave to them because they're the government figureheads, just like us. We're enslaved through happiness and capitalism. And even though the Queen of England has total like control of the economy and everything, and the royalty, it's all to them. It's like it's they do give their people like a separate government, so like they do have a say, but there's also puppeteering, is what I call it. So let's talk about some of these governments, and you can kind of ponder what I'm talking about as we go, because it's just like if I don't explain these things to you, you guys aren't going to understand what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to explain each different thing. So aristocracy is ruler of the best. So it's like those are the monarch systems, like hereditary, like to the throne. Like the Queen of England is, like she's a part of aristocracy. Like King and Queen of Denmark. Any type of royal person that considers a king, queen, emperor, whatever like that, the emperor of Japan, they're aristocracy, and they obtain power through bloodline and heritage. So then we have democracy. Democracy is like only property owners can like have a say in government. Like so the poor don't have any say, and then they don't even get to vote. They just you get whatever we give you. You're on the very bottom. That's it, and then that also ties into oligarchy, which is the next one. They kind of link together, and I'm going to go into that too. Oligarchy is like one faction having control. So like one group of people, which would be like that's what our democracy tries to prevent, is one group of people. But we'll get this is gonna hopefully blow your guys' mind. So that's one group of people, one faction, one regime. And so like aristocracy is or like nobility and royalty and stuff like that. That is a type of aristocracy. Not a democracy, sorry. So, and then actually, democracy can all like fall under oligarchy too. So, and then there's I don't need to talk about democracy, and we kind of already talked about tyranny and tyrants and stuff like that. And then there's plutocracy. Plutocracy is the rule of the wealthy, the global elites, if you want to call them, the people who can influence stuff with their money. And hopefully that's perking your ears up a little bit. Hopefully you're trying to think, maybe I'm going somewhere with this, or Ian is going somewhere with this. So, some examples of what oligarchy or oligarch rule would be nobility, wealth, a certain type of education, corporate, like corporations, businesses, a religious, the military, political, like our oligarch system that you guys might think is that a political system of Democratic and Republicans. That is the political factions that rule our country. But we're gonna get deeper into money and stuff and banks, and you're gonna probably change your mind real damn quick. You're gonna start getting really mad at the world, and that's good because I'm gonna wake your ass up. And then there's military. Like some guy looks at himself as like he's a general. That's a type of tyrant. That's a type of dictatorship. It's like I'm the head of everything. It's just like they're more geared towards a military mindset. And then so let's talk about democracy. Now, plutocracy can fall under democracy and oligarchy, because if the plutocracy is the wealthy, if the wealthy is in control of everything, making stuff happen with their money, then that would be an oligarchy. What type of oligarchy? Plutocracy, or you are a plutarch. Um, and then there's timocracy, which is only property owners. Well, billionaires tend to be property owners, but not all billionaires are super wealthy. Like the Queen of England, they're not really. They can own businesses. I mean, I guess it's their government. They have a way of making their money too, and they have their own personal businesses like on their side, like each little royal blood family. Okay, so we have all that. So like if you're a property owner, it's like democracy's only property owners. So like if you're strictly democracy, it's only property owners can like it gets really complex. It's like webs can get connected and they can fall under each other and be like they can be a dominant one and or they could be like a sub government under another form of one. But you could go to a different country and one that's like a sub type of government, like plutocracy could be like a sub government, and but everything falls under oligarchy in a sense, because there's always going to be one type of group or faction that's ruling. So oligarchy is always going to be a type of thing, but it's like what type of oligarchy, um, and that's like what type of faction. That's the head of it all. Everything falls under oligarchy in a roundabout way. You're always going to get to an oligarchy. But what is our oligarchy system? So let's talk about first the different types of oligarchies and see how this ties into bank systems. Let's talk about why the Queen of England and them like refused to go a part of the European Union, and have the control of money. Basically, the European Union, their money is made by the Rothschild family, the Rothschild banks. They've been making currency for European nations and for a long time. Now, the Queen of England and the royal blooded family of England and Great Britain said, "Nuh-uh, you're not gonna like." They knew that if that happened, the banks would technically control them, and we have the same concept. The Federal Reserve makes our money. Now, those are corporations. Those are personal families that own that, and within the like, you can have like, you can see also how a aristocracy can happen and fall under a plutocracy. So a plutocracy can have its own aristocracy system. So like, if I became a rich, successful billionaire, my plutocracy, well, not the plutocracy, aristocracy within my own family, basically, it's like my oldest son might get whatever, and my second son, and so on. So you can have your own monarch system within your own family, and your own, if like your family's high enough, it's going to be kind of like a monarch system. So you can kind of view it like that, like the firstborn son of this person is like the king of the family, even if his cousin is older than him, type of thing. So it's like it's all like, so you can have that, like who like has say so in the family. But so this is how taxes work. So this is how the Rothschilds and the JP Morgans and all those people that own the Federal Reserve banks are the banks that print money for nations, like the Rothschilds for the whole continent of Europe, pretty much. European continent is controlled by the Rothschild family. And how do the government pay their services and acceptances? Like, oh, thank you. We have to pay you for your services because you would be nothing. So how do we pay you? Think about it. How does the government pay the banks back? With taxpayer money. So when those families, the Rothschilds, the J.P. Morgans, and all those people whose family owns those banks, how do you think they get paid? in their own taxes. So if they're gonna go buy something in America with U.S. American dollars, they never run out of money. Their wealth is infinite. Think about it. How would they owe themselves money if they bought too much? It's all going to come back in taxpayer money. So the people and the family members within these bank systems will never run out of money. They can't owe themselves money. They are unlimited wealth. Same with the King and Queen of England. The royal family will never run out of money. They don't owe themselves money. You can't pay yourself a debt, especially if you control the banks and you control the money and the currency and you control the monetary value system. So where do you come in? Where does your freedom come in that? How can people make money, like literally physically make money in like paper, and they can have not a goddamn worry? Not a worry in the fucking world. Because paper that they make and you guys will kill each other over, they just make it and they laugh. And they can buy these yachts that are fucking ridiculous. Look at the Rothschild yachts. Just look at some of them. Just Google them. Rothschild mansions. The Rothschilds are probably the richest people in the world. Richest family in the world. Combined wealth between all the people that have that, they're unlimited. Even like it doesn't matter at that point. Like if you own a bank that's printing money for a government system, you control. And that's where lobbyists come in. Lobbyists work for those banks, and they're like, "We'll give you this amount of money, Mr. Congressman, pass this law. And if you do, we'll give you a huge retirement package. A big old fat thing of money in your bank account. You're going to be a part of our company forever. You get a pension. You're an employee of us after you get out of office. And then we'll give you millions and millions of dollars." And then if the congressman is like, "No, I'm not going to do it," and like, well, guess what? If all you try to turn this against me, and you try to say that is bad, and this is illegal, we'll stop making money. What would happen then, Mr. President and Congressmen of the United States of America, or like Prime Minister of Canada? What will happen then if we just stopped making money? Once we do that, that money that you guys have is worthless. And people will be going crazy, killing each other, looting, because they'll realize that just like that, in a snap of a finger, they could mean that monetary wealth and value is nothing. And these people are living better than you because of paper. And you're fucking slaving away. And now it's not even paper. People use plastic. It's all fucking fake. It's all electric. It's just this is what you have, but you can get it in paper form. It's like basically getting a receipt of something that doesn't exist. Like that, the paper form of money, that's what it is. It's a receipt, essentially. Like you have this amount of money worth of gold, but we can't back up the gold. So literally, there's people that don't have to worry about anything because it's just, they don't literally have to buy anything. It's like the rich, the super rich, and then when you're billionaires like Zuckerberg and all them, you're not at the top of the food chain unless if you're, but you can have a little bit of say. But whoever's in the bank and is a part of those families, the Federal Reserves, the bank of like the European banks that print out those money. Those people control everything. They can influence congressmen. They can influence like anybody Like, you will pass this bill, or else we own you. We can collapse your whole government and your whole country, and you can't do anything about it. You will do what we say. And if you don't believe that's true, and that's real, that there's not these puppet masters controlling things, then I think you're just a little bit naive, and you need to wake up. It's just like, they're not going to take out a loan against themselves. Who's going to enforce them to pay themselves back, these banks? This is the stuff they don't want you to realize. And people don't want to, that you can find this information out. It's very easy to find this out. You just got to be smart enough to think outside of the letters on the page. You're like, okay, this is the definition of that, but people don't really understand the definition, and they can't apply it to the physical world. They can't see what the definition is happening, what the definition of the real world is, and how that applies to the paper. They just can't get that out of their head. I remember what this word says, I know what these words mean, but together, what do they really mean? What's a real world example of this that I have to visualize? And that's how you can't define the world. You can only define what's on the page. You can only define what's in the Bible. You can only define what's in this. And that's frustrating because you can't define what's out there. It's bullshit that people have to, like, and the reason is they're afraid. They're afraid that they're the little man and they have no say in the world. And that scares them. And who gives a fuck what the people say? I'm going to die happy because I'm just going to do what I want to do. And if it's illegal, fucking kill me. I don't give a shit. At least I died doing what I like to do. You know, it's like, I'm not going to say that you're the boss of me. I'll play into your fucking money system. But if I'm really hungry, I'm going to steal some shit. Like, if this economy collapses, I'm going to grow my own garden. Fuck you, Governor Whitmer. At your point, I am my own government, and I am apolitical. I am definitely not on any side. Like, it's all bullshit. They're all puppets. They think they control shit, but they don't. It's all psychological. We are psychological subjects in a fucking fucked up experiment. And you gotta really stop and think of yourselves and how worthless you're treating yourselves when you guys are so much more. You're a fucking human being. You have a right to feel good and happy about yourselves and have luxuries and relax. But you guys have to have this idea that you have to be sitting on a fucking golden throne, so to say, to be happy. It's like, we're so lost. We have our priorities lost. Money and greed is the way of the human heart now. There is no love and compassion. It's just, I must survive with paper. I need to get paper to live. Like, I don't know if it makes me mad. It just makes me sad. I'm going to end there.